Norwood here on this cold, rainy morning. You know, as many of you know, hopefully you all know, I've got a release show coming up February 9th at the Kessler Theater for my new album, Chris J. Norwood and the Knockdown, Dragout. Y'all come with me as I head out to my studio. And it got me thinking about previous release shows. This is now my 5th or 6th. So I hope you'll allow me to kind of wax nostalgic for a little bit. My very first release show was for a 3-song single that I recorded, and the show was in Abilene, Texas. The year was maybe 2006. I had these 3 songs that I'd recorded a couple years prior, and I wanted to put them out. So I went back to my alma mater, Hardin-Simmons University. I was in the basement of one of the small buildings on campus and invited a couple friends. And yeah, we played our little 30-minute set to about 15 people and had a really great time. My buddy Sean Eddins was on bass guitar. Sean and I have been making music together for a long time. And it was really fun. My then fiance at the time, now wife of almost 15 years, Carrie Norwood, was also singing with us. Carrie and I have also been making music together for an incredibly long time. She is my forever duet partner. And you'll see a common thread with these release shows is that she has been a part of every one, and I'm grateful for her, obviously. That single is not available. I think I've got a copy on CD somewhere, so if you ever want to hear it, you'll have to come track me down and see if I can play it for you. My next release show was, I believe, 2011. It's for an EP that I had recorded called The Moth and the Flame. I had begun working at a place called Breed Music at a studio there, and it was the first time I had daily access to a studio. So I recorded the whole thing myself, pretty much. I think Keith Dodgen played drums on a couple songs, and again, Sean Eddins played bass on a couple songs. And recorded it all, mastered it here in town, and with Gary Long, I believe. And put together a release show. The release show was at Mocha Coffee and Tea. Obviously, Mocha's still there. My wife works there at the building, and you can go down there. It's a great place. They got great coffee. We had a really good show there. There was a lot of people. That was the first time that I really kind of felt good about a show that I had done. There were that people came to see me. It was probably the first time that people came to see a show of mine, and it wasn't just me playing background music for people. So that was a lot of fun. The Moth and the Flame is still on Spotify. You can go listen to it now. My next release show was for another EP that I had very creatively, I thought, titled Chris J. Norwood's second EP. That was a nod to the Beatles and the Beatles' second album. I thought that was very clever at the time. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That release show was at the Old City Tavern in downtown on Main Street, where it used to be. It was upstairs. Again, Sean Eddins on bass guitar. I think, of course, my lovely wife played with us, and she played this beautiful Rhodes piano that we have. And if you ever played at City Tavern upstairs, you know that it's upstairs. And we hauled this big bad mamma jamma up those stairs and played. That was my first, I felt like that was a real show. It was a real show at a real rock club. I felt really good. I was headlining. I felt really good about it. Cole Reisner, I think I played in Cole's band that night too, was also playing. And that was a really fun night as well. It was a success. The next show was for my very first full-length album. It's called Long Shot. I'm still very proud of this album. Chris Masterson produced. I went down to Austin, Texas. We recorded at the Finishing School. And Chris, who used to play with Steve Earle and the Dukes, used to play with Sunvolt, used to play with Jack Ingram, phenomenal guitar player. His wife, Eleanor, also played on the album. And Chris assembled a team of just A-list Austin heavy hitters. Chris and Eleanor on it, Conrad Chacroon on drums, and the late, great George Reef on bass. And Steve Christensen, Grammy Award-winning Steve Christensen, engineering and mixing. The album sounds incredible. Also on Spotify, obviously. Yeah, it was my first full length. I am, again, still very proud of that album. Please go listen to it because obviously the musicianship is incredible. We printed up a bunch of CDs, which nobody obviously listens to anymore. Here are the CDs. I begged Trey Johnson to release it on State Fair Records, which he graciously did. And we had a release show at Three Links, the great Three Links on Elm Street in Deep Ellum. Pedigo's Magic Pilsner headlined that night. The fun thing about that night, the weird thing about that night was Three Links said, I don't know if they had double booked that night or what, but there was another act. It was like this teen bop sensation that went on at like 6. And so there were a bunch of teenagers. The club was packed with teenagers from like 6 to 9 or whatever. And then it was just weird. They mingled with our fans and then they cleared out and then our fans moved in. And we started, and then again, Pedigo's Magic Pilsner played that night. My next album was I Am Not Cool, my most recent album. We recorded that one with Guillermo Murillo, my soul brother from another mother. Worked very hard on it. It took us a long time, I think over a year of recording. That was a fun one, especially after recording Lawn Shot. Guillermo and I joked that it was the little album that could. We just kind of kept ticking away at it. Also came out on State Fair Records. And the release show for that one was at the amazing Kessler Theater. It was a co-headlining release show with Billy Law, who was also releasing an album that night. And Garrett Owen was also playing. He was the opener. Getting to play at the Kessler was a dream come true. I'd played 2 or 3 times before then, always solo. So getting to play at the Kessler with my band, like I said, was an absolute dream. And the another part of that night that was a dream come true was Ken Bethea from the old 97s, who I had met a year prior because of release. I had released a cover of theirs. I'd been an old 97s fan for forever. Released a cover of theirs. He so graciously reached out and we kind of chatted. And this was right towards the end of COVID shutdown stuff. Things were opening back up. He hadn't played in a long time. So I was like, hey man, do you want to come play this song with us at our show? And he said yes, to my great amazement and surprise. He said yes. He came out and to get to play on stage with one of your musical heroes in a place like the Kessler was just beyond my wildest imagination. Before we had gone on stage, I had a few shots of whiskey and was feeling a little loose. And I very embarrassingly mispronounced Ken's name. I called him Bethea. And then he corrected me right as he walked off stage. It's Ken Bethea, you idiot. And I felt like a moron, and it was very embarrassing. But that still didn't take away from the amazing time that we had getting to play with him, getting to play that album in that venue. Was just like I said, a dream come true. So that brings us to today and I now have a new album and a new project and a new band called Chris J. Norwood and the Knockdown Dragout. Here's the album. I've been wanting to make this album for a long, long time. I am super proud of it. We recorded at Audio Dallas, the legendary studio in Garland, with an amazing band. Aaron Haas, TJ Calloway, the beautiful and talented Carrie Norwood, Liz Holmes, Preston Lewis, Brett Lamel, Jordan Carr, Luke Wingfield, Chris Watson, and again, co-produced with Guillermo Murillo. And we've got another release show coming up. This time it's at, again, the Kessler Theater in Oak Cliff. The Kessler Theater is an amazing venue. It is the best venue in town. I will tell anyone whoever asks me which is my favorite venue. It's always the Kessler. The staff there is incredible. The sound is amazing. And it's just being able to connect with the audience. It's intimate. It's personal. It's just such a blessing to get to play there. Each release show that I've put on has gotten a little bit bigger, a little bit better. a little bit, few more people come out. And I don't take that for granted. So it would mean a lot to me if you could come out to this show at the Kessler Theater. We're trying to sell it out, obviously. And if I could, that would just be the highlight of my career. I could call it quits after then, I think. I probably won't, but I could. I've had a very great career, you know, maybe not fame and fortune, but in my little life, in my little world, it's meant a lot to me. And like I said, I don't take it for granted. So February 9th at the Kessler Theater in Oak Cliff, please come out. Please tell your friends. Again, help us sell it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. A night of really awesome music. The Rosemont Kings, Kirk, Thurmond are also playing that night. And we really hope to see you there. So thanks for going down memory lane with me. Appreciate you.